Hello and welcome to Future Proof, the business program that looks at emotional intelligence and the power it can have to help us future proof our business. My name is Sarah Hopwood. Thank you very much for joining me. And in this week's program, I would like to look at the 2018 Deloitte Millennial Survey, and it's where it itemizes, I think there's 15 different areas of skills and attributes that we need in the workplace, and they identify that these are the future skills that are needed. And the great hope that it gives all of us is that they have said every single one of the skills can be taught. The quote that they have at the bottom of the page, and I am literally reading from their paperwork, is it said the great leaders of the future will be values led, where before it was very much skills and doing, but this is about values. What are our core values? And values come from our motives, and it's our motives and our intentions. And if we don't like what our motives are and intentions are, then we need to change our values. So whatever we do, think, however we think and behave will come from the values that we have. And that's why we can go so very seriously wrong if our values are wrong. But boy oh boy, when a business has its values in line with the purpose of the business, with what they want all their customers or their patients or whatever, whoever they are selling to identify those values, and then they employ employees and the workforce also buy into those values, you then become a very, very credible, strong force in the workplace, and indeed you can help future-proof yourself. And the sentence that they say is, in the past, jobs were about muscle. Now they are about smart brains. But in the future, they will be about the heart. And, you know, emotional intelligence at one point was a soft skill. It was fluffy. People didn't want to go there. They thought it was almost like a weakness. And over the years, this has fundamentally changed. Actually, in line also with the conversations around mental health and well-being, where at one point it was boo-hooed, and then suddenly businesses realised that they could really increase their output, the staff output, by over 50% if they looked after them, if they looked after their mental health and their stress, and if they basically made it a happier place to work. So this is what this week's programme is about. It's about the Deloitte Millennial Survey that was written in 2018, and they called it the essential skills for the future that can be taught. So I hope that you enjoy the programme. And I want to start with, I think from the top, they have listed them. It doesn't say whether they are in any particular order. I imagine they're not. I think these are very much all on equal pegging. So I do just want to start from the top, and I want to work my way down what they are saying and how we can interpret it, and indeed maybe train and teach into it. And remember, a lot of training sometimes is actually binning stuff. It's about undoing some learning, and maybe writing a stop doing list instead of a doing list. So it's about unpacking as well as navigating and forging forward. So the one at the top of their list is around interpersonal skills. And if any of you are familiar with Howard Gardner, and you know, I will be mentioning people that I've read about, and I've read their thoughts on things, I've read their teaching, I've read their challenging and their questions that they have. And that's how I have built my knowledge in and around emotional intelligence. And when I'm speaking, I will often take these books with me so that people can browse them and see who's inspired me, in the hope that they will be inspired themselves by those authors of good books. And also, of course, remember, you can always Google the authors, and 9 times out of 10 there is a supporting video on YouTube, so you can listen to them giving a summary of their book, or if nothing else, being interviewed about their book, which is very, very useful ahead of reading, or even if you don't want to read. So interpersonal skills, these are, Howard Gardner talks about the 8 intelligences, and one of them is interpersonal skills, and these are the skills around being able to be in relationship, to be able to build relationships, to be able to manage relationships. And one of the saddest things that I find about social media is so many young students, so the younger generation, are being lied to. They are being misled around interpersonal skills because they've got many likes or they've got lots of friends on social media. They think that they have a huge circle of friends, and I'm not undoing those numbers, but what they are missing in many ways are encompassing the full measure of interpersonal skills. And when we are online, we are missing very often tone and intonation and body language. So all people are seeing are words and pictures, and interpersonal skills are very, very much around managing our own and interpreting our body language and our tone and intonation. And so this is a skill that can be taught. Confidence and motivation. In an earlier programme, I talked about Julian Rotter's paper looking at locus of control, place of control, and what that means, and talking about internal locus of control and external locus of control. And he wrote the paper to be able to assess motivation in the workforce. And I actually have a very good diagnostic around multiple questions where people just answer what their priorities are. So it's all multiple choice. But from those questions, asking the same question in a different way, or the same question giving a different choice of answers at different times, then we as individuals can work out what motivates us. But it's very, very useful to the employer as well, to really be able to identify what it is that motivates their staff. And often it varies from one member of staff to another, and that's okay. The key thing is that we know what motivates us. Confidence is something I think that can be built predominantly around values and doing the right thing. And if I could say anything about something that is so often misunderstood around confidence, or not given enough airtime, is how much we sabotage ourselves, and we actually are fully capable of undermining and lessening and weakening our own confidence. And it's usually around the value system. So for example, if we break our own core values regularly, that will undermine our confidence. And if we treat people inappropriately, whilst we think we're full of bravado and, you know, I told them what I thought kind of thing, then very, very often in the quiet moments we will feel bad about it in some way, and then you get guilt issues, and then from guilt you go into justification and defense mode. So then we become angry, and you know, sometimes we think that's building our confidence because we can shout from a high place going, I think they're wrong, or I told them, and you know, I put them in their place, or I let them know how they make me feel. And what we don't always realize is that we are actually undermining and we are weakening our own confidence, and it can become a spiral. So that's quite a thing. Strong ethics and integrity. So this is about relationship. This is about values led. And I think the way to start working out about strong ethics and integrity is for us to ask ourselves, what are our values as a human being? So in a business, you can often Google the values, and the mission statement will support those values of the business. But you know, as individuals, if let's say somebody's interviewing and say, okay, hi Charlie, what are your values? Tell me, give me 5 of your values. And sometimes we can't answer that. And when we do, we'd like to think honesty, integrity. I love the word transparency. I really like the idea that everything is transparent, otherwise we've got no secrets. That can really help build your confidence, because you're not having to duck and dive behind the scenes, trying to mislead everybody whilst you protect your secret. So more of this in the second half around value-led ethics. EQ, emotional quotient, is better known as emotional intelligence. It is a tangible tool that can sit alongside your services or your product, and it can be taught. Leaders with high EQ have less stress, they're more effective, and they earn more money. There's a great saying, just because we have pains, it does not give us permission to be a pain. I believe that teaching emotional intelligence has a direct impact on your sense of success and your net profits. EQ will empower you and your workforce to drive the change that you want. Change brings transition. EQ can help unpack what's holding you back and speed up that period of transition.